Honda announced the Prelude was coming back, I was excited. Then I learned it was only coming as a hybrid, no manual transmission option. My excitement cooled off a little bit, but after spending a week with this one, I think Honda might have understood something that a lot of us forgot.
And before you forget, if you haven't already done so, take a moment to like and subscribe. And be sure to click that bell so you don't miss our reviews each week as they come out.
The year was 1986. I was 16 years old, headed to my senior year of high school. There was only one car I wanted, the second generation Honda Prelude. You know, the one with the pop-up headlights. My parents wanted me to have it too. They just couldn't afford that Prelude. So instead, I got a 1981 silver Prelude with the burgundy interior. Now, even though I had my heart set on those pop-up headlights, that might have been one of the best disappointments in my life. I drove that thing like I thought I was Mario Andretti. It wasn't a sports car, but I drove it like it was. If you knew me back then, you know I'm telling the truth. That forced me into an auto mechanics class though, because I blew more than one set of head gaskets on that thing. Looking back, that little Prelude might be the thing that started my career, that put me here reviewing cars. So here's the first thing you need to know about this Prelude. It was never intended to compete with the Civic Type R. They don't even call it a sports car. Honda calls it a Grand Touring Coupe. And honestly, that's exactly what it feels like. It sits between the Civic Si and the Type R. Think of this as Honda's hybrid Halo Coupe. It's built for people who enjoy driving, not necessarily setting records.
So the questions I'll try to answer here are simple. Is it fun to drive despite being a hybrid? Does that S Plus shift system add any type of meaningful engagement? And is that backseat ever going to be useful? Then, is it worth more than a Civic Si, Toyota GR86, or Subaru BRZ? And who should actually spend their money on it? So I'll start with what I think is the biggest asset of this Prelude, and that's the styling. It's low, it's wide, and it has an upscale look to it. The lines, the flared out fenders, give it a more substantial visual presence. It's actually 74 inches wide, and that's 5 inches wider than the 5th generation model. It rides on these 19-inch Berliner black wheels. This is also the first Honda sold in the United States with these completely flush door handles. Now, while that might be subjective as to whether you liked it or not, it's something they added. But what's not subjective is that these two middle-aged gentlemen came up to me while I was filming the car and asked me if it was a Porsche. Now, I know that means they weren't necessarily automotive enthusiasts, but Honda must have got something right because it got their attention. And my wife and daughter both added that it's cute. Now to the acceleration. It's respectable in day-to-day driving, but it's not some neck-snapping performance. It produces 200 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque. That's enough to make it feel responsive during normal day-to-day driving. But what impressed me the most was its handling on these back roads. Honda borrowed the dual-axis front suspension, the adaptive dampers, steering hardware, and Brembo front brake calipers from the Civic Type R. The dual-axis suspension improves cornering grip, steering feedback, and control while virtually eliminating torque steer. The steering has a quick 11.3 to 1 ratio and was tuned specifically for the Prelude. I must admit, this Prelude felt confident around these sharp curves. The body stayed controlled and the steering responded quickly without making the car exhausting to drive every day. There's enough stiffness to tell you that Honda took the chassis seriously, but the ride remained smooth enough for commuting, errands, and highway travel. And that's where the Grand Touring description makes sense. It's easy to live with during the week, but it can still give you a reason to take the longer route home. Now for what you came here for. I too wish that Honda had gone with a traditional gasoline engine and offered a manual transmission as an option. But this hybrid system works better in this application than I expected. The Prelude uses a 2-liter direct injection Atkinson cycle engine with Honda's 2-motor hybrid system. The total output is 200 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque. Now here's an important dealer secret for anyone trying to understand this drivetrain. It's not a conventional automatic transmission, and Honda says it's not a CVT. So let me try to explain this in terms that make it simple. During low speed driving around town, the electric propulsion motor drives the wheels. The gasoline engine can operate a generator to provide electricity. So during light throttle and highway cruising, a clutch can connect the gasoline engine directly to the wheels. That helps explain why the response feels immediate at lower speeds. The Prelude is rated at 46 miles per gallon in the city and 41 on the highway for a combined 41 miles per gallon. It uses regular gasoline and you don't need to plug it in. And as you can see here, we didn't quite achieve that fuel efficiency, but it's also based on how you drive it. Another concern I had that you may have as well is this S Plus shift. Is it a gimmick or not? Pressing this button is supposed to activate an 8-gear simulator with paddle shift control, virtual rev match downshifts, and enhanced powertrain sound and tach on the digital display. The experience is also supposed to change depending on the selected drive mode. Sport gives you the firmest dampers, heavier steering, quicker powertrain responses, more sound, and the most deliberate shift sensation. It even adds active downshifting during deceleration. GT is a default setting. It balances comfort with a more engaging response and uses smoother virtual upshifts and downshifts. In comfort mode, actually lightens the steering, it softens the dampers and reduces the powertrain sound and keeps the engine speed lower. Individual allows you to separately select steering assistance, engine response, powertrain sound, instrument cluster, and so on. And I'm happy to report that I can actually tell a difference between each one of those settings. The comfort makes this Prelude calm and easygoing, and I think most people will probably choose to just drive in GT mode most of the time. And now to the interior. The front seats were another highlight. They're supportive without being punishing. The soft leather, the perforated houndstooth pattern, the integrated headrest restraints, the blue stitching and embossed Prelude logos give the cabin an identity beyond that of a Civic. My wife and daughter were surprised by how comfortable the passenger seat felt. The Prelude also comes well equipped. There's one core equipment level, so the important features are already included. You get a 10.2-inch digital instrument cluster, a 9-inch touchscreen, Google built-in, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, wireless phone chargers, Wi-Fi capability, and 2 USB-C fast charging ports, and an 8-speaker Bose system with a subwoofer. And I'll have to give Honda and Bose credit that it sounds pretty good in this relatively small cabin. It was a highlight of my week during my daily commute. Now this backseat is a totally different conversation. Honda calls this a 2+2. Just be realistic with your expectations. Maybe a toddler in a car seat, anything past that, let's just call it soft storage. But the good news is this is the Prelude's first full liftback opening. There's 15.1 cubic feet of cargo volume behind the rear seat, and the seat backs fold into a 60-40 split. It looks like a coupe, but the hatch makes it substantially more useful than the shape suggests. So for 1 or 2 people, this is a perfect car for handling groceries, luggage, even camera equipment, or for a weekend road trip. Our tester came nicely equipped. The window sticker suggests a base price of $42,000. Now this Boost Blue paint adds $455, destination $1195, and a sticker price of $43,650. But these summer tires that were on our tester were a dealer installed option, bringing up another $1,200 to that bottom line. They're not included on the window sticker. It means Prelude equipped exactly like this one could effectively cost you about $44,850 before taxes and fees. So be sure to ask the dealer which tires are installed, whether they're included in the advertised price, and whether the original all-season tires come with the car. And I assure you, you'll get an unequivocal smile and nod of absolutely not. And buyer beware, if you live in a colder climate, the grip on these tires is significantly reduced at temperatures below 45 degrees. So if you're living someplace up north, you're gonna wanna get some all-season or even winter tires. Don't assume that these high-performance tires will remain effective just because the pavement is dry. Now, buyer alert number 2 is this rear visibility. The seat pillars almost completely block the side rear view when you're turning your head. And it does have the blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic detection, but technology is not always the best substitute for a clean sightline. This Prelude sits in an unusual position because none of its competitors offer exactly the same combination. For example, the Toyota GR86 starts about $31,000, has 228 horsepower. It's rear-wheel drive and offers either a 6-speed manual or traditional automatic transmission. It's the pure sports car and a better option for someone who is looking for driving engagement. And the same holds true for the Subaru BRZ. Starting price a little bit higher at $35,800. Now the Honda Civic Si gives you the same 200 horsepower, but you get a 6-speed manual transmission with a limited slip differential for a starting price around $31,000. And you even get to have more passenger space, and it's a stronger enthusiast value. But it doesn't provide the Prelude styling, exclusivity, or hybrid efficiency. And then there's its distant cousin, which too has a soft spot in my heart, the Acura Integra. It starts around $33,000. It has 200 horsepower, 4 doors. It's a practical liftback, but it's also available with a manual transmission on selected configurations. It's the more rational premium daily driver, I'd say. So here's my simple comparison. Choose the GR86, the BRZ, Civic Si when driving purity matters most to you. Choose the Integra when you need more passenger and cargo space and a little more upscale passenger compartment. Choose this Prelude when you want distinctive styling, a rarity, excellent fuel economy, and enough handling ability to make everyday driving interesting. But here's the question. Would I spend my own money on this new Honda Prelude? I consider it, but more for the nostalgia than anything else. It did put me on my path in the car industry. And maybe because of the exclusivity of it. Honda expects to only build about 4,000 of these a year, so it's not likely I'll see one on every intersection. I also appreciate the fact that it looks like a coupe while still giving the convenience of a hatchback. I know, nostalgia doesn't automatically make it a good value. And with a window sticker around $43,000 to $44,000, that's a lot of money to pay for 200 horsepower. I believe it would have been a much more attractive vehicle in the $30,000 range. It also could have been a genuine enthusiast success if Honda had offered a traditional gasoline engine and manual transmission. But maybe that's just me.
40 years ago, I wanted a Prelude because I thought it was a sports car. Today, I appreciate the Prelude because I finally understand what it always was. It was never about chasing Corvettes. It was about balance, comfort, style, handling. Honda didn't build the Prelude my 16-year-old self wanted. They built the Prelude my 57-year-old self appreciated. And you know what? I think they got it right.
So I say shop it, but only for the right buyer. Buy it if you want a stylish, rare, efficient daily driver with good seats, good handling, good technology, and enough personality to make the commute enjoyable. Compare it carefully if value is your priority, because the Civic Si, the Toyota GR86, the BRZ, and the Integra give you more traditional performance and practicality for less or the same money. Skip it if a manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, or pure acceleration defines what a coupe is to you. The Prelude is not trying to be the best sports car. It's trying to be one of the most interesting daily drivers. In 1986, I thought my parents bought me the wrong Prelude. It turned out to be exactly the car I needed. 40 years later, Honda's given us another Prelude that's not exactly what many of us asked for. It's a hybrid, no manual. It's not a traditional sports car. But after a week with it, I respect what Honda built. This 2026 Prelude proves that the car you wanted when you were 16 is not always a car that makes sense later in life. Honda didn't bring back the old Prelude. It brought back the idea behind it. Style, innovation, efficiency, and just enough driving excitement to make the long way home feel worthwhile. I'm Daryl Killian, the Auto Insider. Before you spend your money, make sure you know what's really on the inside. Subscribe, leave your questions in the comments, and I'll see you on the next review.